This is your roving reporter, Scoop Newsworthy.
Oh my God. Oh, sorry, no, my fault, no. Sorry, we saw
Hey, Cyber Buildings, this is Ashley Stevens. We're at the annual awards, banquet, and scholarship dinner for the New York Association of Black Journalists. Stay with us.
Simply put, he was just cool, on camera and off, but he always delivered the goods.
2 years ago, when Amadou Diallo...
With the New York Association of Black Journalists being received the Lifetime Achievement Award.
The board members of NYBJ, if you guys could please stand. You guys are sitting right here at the front table. I just want to acknowledge our board members. Aaron Morrison, Joe Gray, Dexter Mullins, Julie Walker, Emily Faye, and Dwight Striker, our board members of NYBJ.
Dean Baquet, Executive Director.
Hey everyone, this is Dean Mellinger from New York One News, and I'm here at the New York Association for Black Journalists, their annual award dinner, and I'm here with Cyber Buildings as we salute the great black journalist in New York City. Preparing for an event like this, it's not too hard because I'm actually helping to salute so many great New Yorkers who are journalists and reporters and African Americans. I work with many of them every day, but when you talk about living legends and giving them honors, well, you want to make sure that you really salute them while they are around. So many of them have helped to break down barriers for the rest of us.
Fact, yes, sir.
Well, obviously, as African Americans, we have come a long way when it comes to journalism, whether it's print or broadcast, radio and TV, and now online. But it's important that African Americans continue to push the stories that are important to their communities and also push the truth, because sometimes people may look at a story one way, and if you're an African American from the community that you're covering, maybe you see a different side of that story, and it's important to tell all sides when possible.
Facts.
I'm Larry Mullins. I'm a news anchor from 7 p.m. to midnight on America's #1 radio station, 1010 Wins, where you give us 22 minutes. We'll give you the world. I think the biggest thing for me being in journalism, be it radio or television, is the fact that you're right on the cusp of history when it happens. And having the ability and the opportunity to tell people what's happening the minute it happens, that's big for me. That's huge for me, being a part of it, as a matter of fact.
How's your Twitter account going?
Very slowly.
Okay. Have you took a selfie yet?
I've never taken a selfie.
Okay.
I don't know how to do that. I'm too shy to take a selfie.
Yes.
And I'm actually introducing him tonight.
The pioneer. I'm too young to be a lifetime achievement. I'm 58, so I've been doing this for 39 years.
Did you see yourself get into this position?
I didn't even think about it.
Okay. What are your future goals, or is this it?
I think my my next goal is once I'm retired, a long time from now as editor of the Times, is to spend a lot of time with my son, keeping up with who lives in Los Angeles. So this is probably it for me, journalistically. I might teach, that would be fun.
But remember, famously, Teddy Roosevelt said never say that.
We have a mandatory retirement.
In your lifetime? Okay.
Better in my lifetime, but still not good. I don't think anybody thinks that. But my life better than it. I remember I grew up a black kid in the South in the 1960s, so better than then, that's for sure.
Okay.
There's much more to push for. I mean, I think that the next step, obviously, is economic. The next step is to have more people in leadership positions, but clearly it's better than it was 40 years ago.
Right, the successes of the civil rights movement, remember, were about legislation. And as journalists, we covered the story. And along with that story, of course, there was emotion, and there was culture, and there was celebration, but it really was about legislation. It really was about the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and organizations like the NAACP and the National Urban League and SCLC and SNCC. It was those organizations coming together, and so there was a great ribbon, a great bow on the Civil Rights Movement 65 with the help of Lyndon B. Johnson as president. So a lot of the legislative victories were won as journalists. We tell the story, we report the stories. A lot of that legislation is now being pushed back. It's very critical that journalists continue to tell that story, not of the gains, but also of the challenges, and how do we come up with those solutions. I would say in my generation, we're not that much further apart, the organization unity that we had maybe 10 major African-American male leaders. Yes, sir. It's now changed. We have a lot of African-American female leaders, which is extraordinary and very important. But you can look to Whitney Young, you can look to A. Philip Randolph, you can look around and see a host of African-American male leaders. And what concerns me, less as a journalist, more as a citizen, is what is the next future generation of those leaders going to look like? Because there have been a wide tableau of leaders that one can turn to. The Stokely Carmichael turned to, the Huey Newton turned to, and did it their own way. But in terms of the leadership, I don't believe we have a void as much as we have an opportunity to see a future African-American male and female biracial leaders to take us into the 21st century strongly. Yes, sir.
We're so excited to honor African-American journalists in print, broadcast, online, and across the spectrum because they work so hard. And this is just a wonderful time to show love to them. Black women have come a long way in journalism because there was a time we were shut out of journalism. So this is a celebration of African-American involvement in the media across the board, and I couldn't be happier to be here tonight.
Wow. Coming from Far Rockaway to here, did you ever think this would be possible?
I believe everything would be possible because of my ancestors and because of the heart of so many people. So I believe it now, so it's real.
Yes, indeed.
You know, it's always nice to get together with your colleagues, talk shop, talk about each other, encourage each other. And, you know, tonight's awards dinner gives us a chance to really honor people for the work that they've done over the last year. And one of the really special things about this evening is that we are going to be honoring some of the friends that we've lost over the last year. One of them in particular was a close friend, John Noel at WNBC TV. And tonight we're going to award, or his family is going to help us award a scholarship named in his honor to the first John Noel Scholarship Award recipient. And I think it's going to be a lovely evening and a lovely way to remember a journalist that we loved and respected.
You're from Texas?
Texas originally. I actually grew up in the Houston-Galveston area. I worked in Beaumont, Texas. It was my first television job.
Wow.
It was in Beaumont.
Okay, now I had some friends that visited Beaumont a few years ago, and they let me know that it was a little, the race issues down there were, they were shocked from coming from New York
going down to Beaumont, Texas. For somebody such as yourself, that's from, I guess the Southwest, what is it like coming up to New York? What is the difference culturally and being as an African-American female?
First of all, that is a long conversation. But, as a journalist, I've worked in several different places. I started in Texas, then I went to North Carolina, then I was in Atlanta before I came to New York. So I really worked across the South. And look, in some areas there is still some tension. But the interesting thing is, as you well know, living in New York, there is some tension still in areas here. The more we change, the more we stay the same, I guess. While I do think that most people think there's a marked difference between living in the South and living in New York, I don't think the racial issues are the biggest differences. I think there are pockets of places everywhere. And, I think racists have gotten a little bit more subtle everywhere. They figured out how to work the system. So, it's not as overt, which makes it a lot of times harder to deal with than it used to be. Because sometimes you have to convince other people that it's even happening. So it's hard for me to jump on the South as a Southerner because there are some issues. But I've surprisingly run into the same thing in some neighborhoods here in New York. I don't even want to talk about still not having cab drivers pick me up sometimes.
No, not
Central Park West, they'll drive by because if they think I'm going a place they don't want to go at a certain time of the day. Hey, maybe it's just a bad time, but I suspect it's something else.
Okay, now you took over.
Here and Now. I took over. Well, Here and Now became Like It Is became Here and Now.
How is that? That's a little prestigious position.
Yeah, the station regards the show as really important, and they would love to have been able to keep the name, but the Like It Is, the name is owned by the Gilnoble estate, so they had no choice but to change the name. So that's kind of how the name change came about, and it's been great. Slow to begin with because look, Gil was a fixture in the community, been here a long time, and a lot of people were sad to see him go. But in the couple of years we've been doing it, we've got, really great feedback from people that are, because I think they were afraid that hour was going to disappear, and it didn't. And I think that they're really happy about that, and getting a chance to see that it's not like it is, but we feel like we're trying to continue the tradition.
With the black issues, Here and Now, do you sometimes feel that there's no hope? Like some issues is like, oh man, this keeps happening in our community. Not give up, but it's like sometimes you have to take a chill and regroup and reassess.
No, because you run into the same issues in the larger community. I'm a journalist, and unfortunately we're doing the same stories over and over, and sometimes you think, don't people learn? I think unfortunately some of it is human nature. So, for every issue, we deal with that is, frustrating, a little bit negative, there's some other positive story that we have on, some group that's really making progress in the neighborhood, some young people that are, as my mother would say, really showing out in school. They're really doing well. So I think that, there's a balance there. There's good, there's bad, there's negative, and there's, hope. No matter what the community is, and I think the black community is no different. The African-American community. We have some issues, but there's so many wonderful things going on. And I think that the show gives voice to a lot of those things that people don't know about because they're small. But, in their community, they're important.
What type of advice do you have to give to any young sister out there that says, I want to be a journalist or anchor woman on TV, but I want to keep my natural hair? Can they do that? Or is it like, do you have stylists that say you can't wear certain things?
No, look, the truth of the matter is I do work in a business where appearance is important. There are people really, and focus on learning your craft. And then if you run into that, then you deal with that there. But I think the world is changing so much, and the business is changing so much, and people of color are going to be the dominant, population in not too long a time from now. So I just don't think that should be what you're concerned about. I think you should be true to yourself, but learn your craft and let the rest of that stuff take care of itself.
Be sure to channel TV, and I'm here with my colleague Dana Tyler, who's a dear friend, and she's been honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And it's just been such an emotional night tonight to see just everybody here. Also, we lost John Slattery today, when John Slattery's funeral was today, so it's also a very emotional day. But it's just wonderful to be here. And good job, by the way. And this is the woman who put it together.
How does it feel just being at this event in general? I know you done saw a lot in your lifetime. Do you think it's a progression right now with black journalists, and are we being portrayed fairly in the media?
Yeah, we made progress. We made a lot of inroads. But there's still a lot to be done. And I think that we have to establish ourselves even more so. We have to establish ourselves. We can't lose and give up the things that we've earned. I don't say, I only say work for it.
My name is Anais Morales, and I'm a producer at New York One News. And I think this is a great event for us to show support to our African American journalists, and also make sure that we're paving a way for up-and-coming reporters and writers who are interested in this business that is ever-changing and may feel like there might not be a place for them because of their ethnicity or because of their background, but there definitely is. And I think this is a great way to network and to make sure that we're bringing everyone up and continuing with all of this great success.
In the 60s, there was like an Afro-Cuban movement where Hispanics and blacks merged and said, you know what, we're one. We have similar cultures from Africa and the whole drum beat. Does that happen with stations or like El Dario and Daily News and Telemundo and New York One? Like, is there a unity?
There is definitely a unity between African Americans and Hispanics in this business, because a lot of the issues that affect the African American community also affects Hispanics. In the case of, let's say, for example, Eric Garner, that's not something that only affects black people. It's a minority issue. We've all had problems with police in general, not just the NYPD. So we all have to come together and find a way to not only coincide with the police department, who keeps us safe, but also make sure that we're giving you guys unbiased information and unbiased reporting. So it affects African Americans and Hispanics both professionally and personally.
Okay, yes it did. Well, thank you for your time.
A junior in high school, and I had actually interviewed Cheryl Wills for my high school newspaper because I'd watched her every morning.
Yeah.
And then from there, she's been my mentor.
Wow. And then you got a scholarship to the University of California.
Yeah, I'm going to USC, so that was definitely helpful.
You doing your thing over there?
I'd like to believe I am.
Yeah.
With the school, news channel, and just trying.
Yeah. What does it mean to you to win that award?
It means everything. It means everything. To hear the legacy that John Noel was able to leave behind, and just everyone who knew him and the impact he's had, his life on their lives, for it to be given to me is just overwhelming, and I'm honored.
Yes. What are you from New York?
I'm from New York.
From what neighborhood?
Harlem.
Oh man. Wow, okay. Yeah. You already know. Yo. As a child, when did you know that you had a special child?
I want to say that when I first brought her home and I looked into her eyes, there was just something
Harlem night. Do you think that the neighborhood has gotten better or worse, or there's still more work to do in the black community in Harlem?
Well, I've lived there for many years, and so I've seen, the changes that have occurred in Harlem. I want to say that, in my opinion, things have improved, but as always, there's always room for growth. There's always room for improvement.
Yes, indeed. Yo, thank you. Congratulations. How special is it to be here tonight?
Well, I have to say this is my second go-round here, and I'm working with the organization. And I'm very honored and privileged to be around, New York's most amazing intellectual thinkers, and to be one myself. But I'm humbled just to be around people who have paved the way long before I even thought about it. So just to be able to dine and wine and listen to their stories, I'm very humbled and I appreciate it. So,
listen, black is so beautiful.
there's nothing better.
As a people, as a culture, honestly, are we doing better?
Are we doing better? My opinion is no. It's in small pockets. As an educator, as a social servant, as a journalist and a writer, I'm often every day, how can I say, I still see a very disparaging amount of us who still have not gotten it yet. And it's very disheartening, and I guess everyone who's here tonight, hopefully we are examples of what should be happening or some type of path, but it's not enough, and it's not okay, because there's more of us who are not than who are.
So are we're not evenly balanced, depicted in the media or on TV?
It's a small sprinkle, but it's not enough.